African. Truly African.
Tyrone Erhas Mahai and Ohinba Kweku Nkrabia sued the school's Board of Governors, Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Education, and Attorney General to enforce their fundamental human rights. The applicants prayed the court to declare that the failure or refusal of the first respondent, that is, Achimota School Board of Governors, to admit or enroll the applicant of his basis on his Rastafarian religious inclination, beliefs and culture, characterized by his keeping of Rasta, is a violation of his human rights and freedoms guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution, particularly Articles 12, Section 1, 23, Section 1, B and C. The two students also wanted an order directed at Achimota School to immediately admit or enroll the applicants to pursue education unhindered. The applicants also sought compensation for the inconvenience, embarrassment, waste of time, and violation of his rights and freedoms. During the ruling, the presiding judge, Giftia J. Ado, argued that on the probabilities of the evidence that were adduced before the court, there were no indications that Achimota School and proponents, including the Ghana Education Service and the Attorney General's Department, made compelling arguments as to why both students should not be admitted, taking their rights to education and rights to express their right to religious freedom. Wayo Ghana Manti is the lawyer for the applicants.
Her name in a legendary status.
Exactly.
Her name is now written in gold.
No.
She now ranks with Eleanor Roosevelt, the architect of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. She ranks with Mary Robertson, former president of Ireland and former UN Human Rights High Commissioner. That is the pedigree the High Court Human Rights Court one judge has just in a moment catapulted herself. Human rights are human rights, and they are found everywhere, in our schools, in our homes, our workplace. And until concerted efforts is made by citizens who agree and understand to protect such human rights, we will struggle out there and never achieve it. That is what exactly her ladyship has done. She has made it very simple that human rights are human rights. And until there's a compelling reason, yes, we agree that human rights can be limited. As we say, rights are not absolute. But there should be a justifiable reason to limit fundamental human rights. And she's simply saying that the respondents at Achimota School, the Ghana Education Service, Ministry of Education and Attorney General have not proven that compelling reason for her mind to weigh towards what the state is saying, that these rights, paramountly the right to manifest one's religion, the right to education should be limited. So she's not convinced, and cases are won on the balance of probability.
Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day, he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved. Every day, he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved.
Whatever the occasion, with ATL, you can never be out of style. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
Go on. Tell me the truth. I started and we can't. What is happening? What is happening? Evening, welcome to the show. My name is Pratt. This is The Couch and we are live on Pan-African TV. This evening we are going to be discussing the judgment, the very famous judgment, for the two Rastafarian students against the Achimota Secondary School. Now, we have been discussing the issues, we're discussing the issues when it came up, when these two brilliant students, having gained access to the computerized system, were admitted to Achimota School, and then the school said, no, you can't come unless you cut off your dress. And that became an issue for a lot of national debates, and conversation. Everybody had an opinion about it. Some of us felt as though the rights of these students, and perhaps by extension, a lot of rights were being trampled upon, and we are very happy that our laws were tested, and in the process, we have judgments that we are happy about. I keep saying we because right from the beginning I declared my position, you know, we are building an all-inclusive society, you know, and so it's important that we embrace diversity. It's important that we let people accept themselves and express themselves the way they see fit, provided it's within the ambience of the law. And somebody's hair, really, truly, cannot be a reason why that person is denied access to education. We had that conversation here at the time, you know, with the same panel, and of course with Mr. Kofi Pratt, who is unable to join us. Unfortunately, I'd have loved, you know, to hear what he has to say now, but unfortunately he's unable to join us. But our two panelists are still here with us. You know, we have with us Russ Oswald Nkrabia, who happens to be the father of Nkrabia. Ohineba Nkrabia. Yeah. Hello, sir.
Yes,
it's great to see you again.
I'm
digging the whites. I'm digging the whites. I'm digging the whites. We also have with us in the studio Ahuma Bosco Okanse. He needs no introduction, but he also happens to be the president of the Rastafarian Council Ghana. Hello, sir.
My pleasure.
It's great to see both of you.
Thank you very much.
Great to see you. What's happening with the walking stick?
Oh, it's just a walking stick.
It's just a walking stick. Nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Great.
No,
okay.
no.
So how do you feel? I'll start with you.
Yes.
You know, you are the father of, you know, Nkrabia. Like, you have been directly affected.
Right.
How does it feel after the judgments? How are you feeling? What's the feeling now?
No, basically from how we saw things was going from the beginning, you know, we estimated that it would have gone in that direction, you know, based on what the lawyers had outlined concerning the clause in the Constitution, etc., and what Archimoto School had done. So we were not surprised that much, you know, even though we have seen a lot of judgment in Ghana here, you know, go so many different ways.
Right.
You know, the judicial system, you know, was exposed by Anas Anas some time ago, which shows a lot of corruption behind the scene. But nonetheless, we were steadfast in going ahead, even though understanding all of those things. And it gave us that confidence to move forward. And we were very elated and excited to see that, you know, a judgment like that was delivered.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you were happy.
Of course, certainly, certainly. It was a joyous moment, joyful moment, and, you know, we're very excited about it.
Right. How did you feel?
I don't think I have the vocabulary to express the feeling, because I had gone there in the morning. You know, we're all expecting judgment to have been delivered in the morning, so by
this
9
was yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Aswa told me, no, they had been informed that judgment had been deferred till 1:30. So I apologized because I had other things scheduled for that time, and I left. So I was monitoring, and then I was told that finally Her Lordship had passed her ruling and asked Achimota School to take back the students. And so I was like, but it's true, because like as was said from get-go, we were optimistic, and I kept telling my folks that I have faith in the provisions of the Constitution, and unless it would be interpreted otherwise, but if as a nation that upholds the rule of law, it would have to be the way it should be,
right,
that the rights of the children had been trampled on the basis of their hair being an extension of their faith, and the school saying, no, we can't take it because of that. So we were just waiting for yesterday.
Did you think, you know, I mean, you went to court, the rest of us were not in court with you, so we don't know how I mean, we know because we watched on TV, on African TV, follow the whole process. But for those at home who don't really know how the court proceedings actually went, sitting there, did you get a sense that this was how it was going to end, or you had no clue?
I'll tell you something. From the first day that Her Lordship threw out the initial request and said, look, she wanted this matter resolved for the children to go to school. That showed you her inclination.
You knew,
you know,
that it was possible that it would go this way.
And then I understand one day the item went and the school requested a certain number of days.
Yes.
And she said no,
they wanted 10
she wants
days,
this thing
and she
done.
said no, 5.
Yeah. So that the children can go to school.
Yeah.
Absolutely, in the best interest of the child.
Thank you.
What Daddy Basco is
saying
saying is correct, because she kept using the word she wanted to expedite the process because it's brought on the issue of rights. And you know, she didn't want to see the children suffer like that, so she was really speeding it up. And she, you know, fulfilled her word and her mission yesterday by explaining, you know, by making that judgment. So we were following that process from ever since.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, what were some of the issues that came up in court? You know, you're saying that the school asked for extension. Extension for what specifically? I'm interested. I'm sure those at home are also interested in some of the things that happened in court, some of the issues that.
Well, you see, what happened is that they were supposed to have made their submission,
right?
And they didn't do it, you know, because they kept doing that. It wasn't the first time, right? And that time again they came, and it was just holding back the process. So that is why they gave them, you know, a shorter time, because they wanted about 10 days. And I think it's just a strategy of buying more time to, you know.
I mean, we know that sometimes
keep it
court
protracted.
proceedings take too long, don't they? And normally it's a tactics.
Yeah. And for us, what was good, or what is pretty historic, is that the case was dealt with in less than, 3 months or 2 months?
Yeah, it's 2.5. It's roughly 2.5 months.
In 2.5 months, the case had been decided.
Yeah. So she was really on top of the, you know, the issues. And yesterday when she gave the judgment, it was just, you should have been there, Daddy Basco, to see. She went all the way to Zimbabwe, Kenya, South Africa, and then she went into the tenets of Rastafari, into the Bible numbers. She went into all of that. And then she also...
So this is a progressive judge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then she went into the whole issue of the school. She went and do a whole history of the school and show all the good qualities of the school, what they have done in Ghana here, so on and so forth, and explained that very, very clear. Then she came over now and dealt with the submission from each respondent. Right. And she dissect that.
Let's go straight into the issues. I have the issues here.
Yeah.
If you permit me, I'll read it and we'll discuss.
Yes, exactly.
It says, delivering the judgments on the case of the 2 Rastafarian boys, Justice Gifty Ajay Ado held that the Attorney General failed to provide a legal justification as to why the rights of the 2 Rastafarian students to education should be limited on the basis of their dreadlocks.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And that makes absolute sense to me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you're going to deny somebody his human rights, it has to be for good.
Of course. Of course. And that's what we've been saying from the beginning, just like Daddy Basco said. We were defending the principles of the Constitution and the spirit of the Constitution, because we saw clearly that it wasn't in keeping, what they were doing was not in keeping with the Constitution. And that's where we stayed the whole time, just to ensure that the Constitution is not violated.
Okay, let's go on. It says Tyrone, help me, my guy. And Ohiniban Kravia, your son, were denied admission into Achimota School for refusing to shave off their dreadlocks, notwithstanding that they had passed their qualifying examinations and had been selected into the school through the computerized placement system. Now, there's an argument here. Apparently, there was an argument in court that you hadn't finished the process.
Yeah, it was Tyrone. It was Tyrone. That is why the Attorney General was saying that he has no. What word did he use?
He's not a student of the school.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Some word he used that he has no jurisdiction or whatever to sue
Right.
them because that wasn't completed.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, anyway, I think it's there on the paper what she
Right.
said about it.
I'll get
Yeah.
there. I'll get there. All right. So it says here, the school, through the Attorney General, argued in court that allowing the students into the school would have dire consequences, and this is, I find this amazing.
Yeah.
On the
Shocking.
school's discipline, health,
Yeah. Yeah.
tradition,
Yeah.
and community cohesion. Let's stay here for a little
Yeah.
bit. So let's look at hair. You know, how a student's hair would affect discipline,
Yeah.
how a student's hair will affect health, how a student's hair will affect tradition. Tradition I can understand.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand
That's right.
tradition. That,
Sure.
that makes some sense to me if you say that, well, the tradition of our school is that
Yeah.
everybody has a,
Yeah.
that I
That's
can
it. That's
appreciate.
right. Yeah.
So of all the points that I would, admit. But this one, community cohesion, is what I find a little strange.
Yeah.
That the dreadlocks of the children
Prevents
would
community cohesion in the
and
school.
drive division amongst the peers. I don't understand how that could be possible, because these two boys are likable young ones, and when they go to the school, they would be, because they're affable by nature, they would be more like magnetizing and draw friends.
Yeah.
You understand? So I don't see how that could affect community cohesion.
You see, my thing about this is just this thing about entrenching stereotypes
Yeah.
and rather enforcing division. That's how I see this one.
Yeah.
So if this community, or there's a misconception about people who look like this, I think it's the work of the school to ensure that once we are educating children, we let them know that no,
That's right.
that's not
right. That's
correct.
right. That's right.
The correct thing rather is
Yeah.
to take each individual
Exactly.
as he
Yeah.
presents.
Yeah.
And then embrace the
Embrace
diversity.
everybody.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it could be an academic exercise
Right.
that they could learn by the cultural exchange of the different students there.
You see, we talk about Harvard. Harvard has a policy
That's right.
to actually take on people from diverse,
Yes,
Minority.
diverse
it's part of
culture.
their-
Yeah.
It's inbuilt in their
Yeah,
system.
exactly.
To take black students,
Yes,
Rastafarians,
yes.
take lesbians,
Yes,
take people
exactly.
of every
Background.
Yes.
background, so that their students turn out all-rounded.
That's right.
That's right.
Practical experience.
Because in the
learning.
real world, you are going to meet everybody.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
So, anyway, I talk too much. Let's look at this issue of discipline also.
Now, as far as I'm
Discipline.
concerned, in a school, there are disciplinary measures. There's a code of discipline. And take away a student's dreadlocks. A student is to fit in, unless the student is either asthmatic or those things. That is when you could say, oh, for, let's say, some form of physical work, you could grant the student an exemption. But none of these students has come up to say, look, I will not do any task that I'm asked to perform. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't see how a student's hair could affect discipline. I don't. No, I don't know if maybe you...
No, you're correct, Daddy Bosco, because what I would like to say is that these children have been to schools before. Schools, not just
Yes.
school. They have been to schools before. And to me, if they had used a scientific approach to say, okay, let us go to the school and do some analysis to see the legacy behind them.
Yeah.
They would have come out with the evidence. But I'm sure they didn't want to do that because they would have seen that there was no such thing where the air has caused all of these negative situations that they are expecting.
A friend of mine posted, on Instagram, I think earlier today, or yes, I can't remember when, but I saw the post and I thought, wow, how true. The post simply said, a well-trained person or a well-brought-up person is not the person who doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't party, doesn't dance. It's the person who doesn't respect.
That's right.
Has no character.
Yeah.
Is not honest.
Yes.
But I don't know why we don't get it.
Yes.
Like
yes.
as a society, we're always looking for the wrong
That's
things.
right. That's
so
right.
the minute somebody drinks, you know, if somebody takes alcohol, oh, that's a terrible person.
Yeah.
How about the person who doesn't drink?
Yeah.
Who's a
That is
thief?
a thief. Yeah. Big
Who you
criminal.
can't trust?
Yeah.
Who is
Bad
a
character.
I mean,
Yeah.
We judge books by their covers, and it's
Right.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
and we always have principles stand on its head. So the minute somebody can dance
Yeah.
or likes to go to the club, that's a bad person.
Thank you.
And you know the interesting thing, since Rastafari started in the 1930s, we have brought the movement where it is today by nothing but peace and love. When you go back, you won't see any legacy there of war, unnecessarily robbing people, stealing people's lands, so on and so forth, right? Even though in the beginning it started as a liberation movement, fighting for your freedom.
Right.
But after that aspect of it, it's nothing but peace and love. We have had a whole lot of atrocities, and we haven't resisted in a certain kind of way that people would have expected it, right? And if you listen to most Rastafarians, they will always try to show you peace and love, no matter what, no matter what conflict or whatever you have. They will say peace and love and try to solve it that way at the end of the day. So I just don't understand where, where or why they have this kind of animosity and evil concept of what Rastafari is.
It's amazing.
Look at Bob Marley, which everyone knows. Just listen to the songs that Bob Marley and the other musicians, put out there, and how people have been affected by it, right? All across the world from different cultures, because it was representing the poor and oppressed people. And these are very good qualities that they need to pay some attention to.
No, let's even go to the original, fighting for emancipation. That's a great thing.
Yes.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
I was talking on a certain radio station, and the guy wanted to know why it appears as if Rastafari is synonymous with weed smoking. Then I said, take a minute. I saw stuff online that suggested that Ghana was ranks number 3 in consumption of marijuana. I don't know whether it's African or global.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, what's the percentage of Rastafari in the Ghanaian populace to drive that rating? And I asked the guy, look, be honest, in your hometown, when you were a small boy, didn't you know a lot of people who were smoking weed? And at that time, you didn't even know any Rasta.
Exactly.
He said yes. Then I said, so where comes this,
It's true.
Because you just can't tie Rastafari to ganja. Then I said, okay, anyway, in 1975, when Peter Tosh released Legalize It, and he said it's good for asthma, good for glaucoma, and even tuberculosis. Today, Joe Biden, or in August 2020, Joe Biden campaigning for American presidency said if he becomes president, he will legalize cannabis for recreational use in all the 52 states.
Yeah.
Is that saying something to somebody? I asked the host, and he was like, Because, you see, it's high time people re-examined these colonial assumptions and perceptions, because the world is changing. Okay. I told someone, His Excellency President Anado is saying Ghana beyond aid. And then we're looking at how we can support our budget, minus the deficits we're facing, and the reliance on loans and aid, etc. Right now, Canada cannot get enough supply of cannabis because they use it for pharmaceutical purposes, for industrial purposes, and for recreational purposes. Now, if you go to certain parts of the world, they cannot grow it. They need it for pharmacy, for industry, and recreational purposes. Now, we have all this land, and Galamsey is spoiling our land. Do you know that cannabis is very, very effective in reclaiming land? So we have the solutions here, but because of our orientation, I don't know whether we're shying away from the solutions, although we may know them, or we're not thinking outside the box.
Interesting conversation.
Thank you.
Interesting conversation. Let's come back to the issue of health. You know, and here, again, we will need some education. I think that for most people, they see the hair and they assume that it's not kempt. You know, it hasn't been washed. So educate us, for instance. Let's talk about your son.
Yes.
How often does he wash his hair and things like that? Let's have the conversation.
Right.
Because the minute I saw health, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That perhaps this is coming up because somebody somewhere is thinking, looking at the hair and thinking, that must be dirty.
Yes. You know, I would say on a weekly basis, once or twice on a weekly basis. And if you notice, most of the Rastafarians, they have their hair covered.
Right.
Right? Most of them, when they're going out mainly on the street because of dust, etc., etc. And the ones that lives in nature, they go to the river, they go to the waterfall. So sometimes they go maybe every single day.
Right.
Especially those that live in the natural environment. Right. You know, they may go 3 times for the day, right? And when you compare it to, you know, those who wear braids and so on and so forth, the braids cannot be taken out once a week.
Ask me about it. I would tell you, you know.
Or whatever.
Right.
So, you know, if they use that comparison, they will realize that we are just the same way in terms of us as human beings.
So you wash your hair when you take your bath?
Of course.
Yes.
Right. I think, just like you said, it's like when we wear our braids.
Yes.
We don't wash it.
Yes.
So somebody's thinking, hey, I wear braids for a month or for 2 months and I don't wash it. This person is carrying this hair for the whole, he probably hasn't washed it for the whole, you know,
and
duration.
the irony of it is that that person who is judging the dreadlocks, for all you know, like you rightly said, for 2 months, they haven't put water in there.
Yeah.
And the dread, over the period of 2 months, must have gone to the beach every weekend.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Or even every day. Some of them, because a lot of them live along the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, let's go along. It says, the Attorney General subsequently argued in court that the Rastafarian students had not even completed or returned their acceptance of admission forms and could thus not be deemed to have been denied the admission. The point is that you don't even have the admission. How can you now be denied something that you don't have?
Yeah.
And you are saying that that's not the case. But were the forms filled? Were they completed? And returned?
Yes, it was completed.
Wow. Okay. But for the students, their parents, and lawyers, this was simply a case of a breach of fundamental rights on the basis of their religion and religious practices. Justice Giftia J. Ado disagreed with the submissions of the Attorney General and granted all the reliefs separately sought by the students, save for the relief of compensation in the case of Tyrone Magai. He wanted compensation for what?
Yes, I think the child rights was requesting for compensation for the stress, the time away from school, you know, all the problems that the father has to go through to go up and down, leaving his business just to follow the case and to ensure that his child get, you know, receive justice and all of that.
Why did you not request for compensation?
Well, you know, I was more focused on the advocacy of...
You had your eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Right. So you did not want compensation, but
it's not a matter that I didn't want it. It wasn't part of our agenda like that, you know. Even though I think it would be fair to be compensated. Yes, I mean, I don't think anything is wrong with it for compensation, because you have, you know, trampled on someone's dignity and, you know, deny them of their rights based on the Constitution and all of that, and it caused so many damages. My son was disturbed emotionally as a result of that issue, and, you know, my wife was panicking, so she took him to a psychiatrist to get help. You know, so all these different little issues, you know, that came as a result of them not recognizing the rights of the child.
Right. Okay. So you think it is a fair request?
It is fair, of course. Yes, it is fair.
Why did Justice give T.I.J. Ado?
It is my assumption that to avoid the hostility between us and them, you know,
yeah,
I think that's a wise move.
Stated that, that since you're going back to the school,
yes.
forget the compensation.
Yeah.
She's a wise woman.
Oh, she is. Well, you know, that's not our first experience with her. The GMO case. She is the one who gave us the first injunction.
Really?
Yeah, and it's 5 years now we're in court with that same judge.
I didn't know
that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the same one.
I see.
She's very wise.
Okay, because like you're saying, animosity.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
If you're going to compensate you, are going to come back into a
already. Then you're setting a certain barrier.
And the question then is, are you going to pass?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And remember when we were seeking the injunction to get the children in school, she said she wouldn't grant it because it would prejudice the outcome of the substantial aspect of it, which is what we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened yesterday. We won. So she knew exactly what she was doing from the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's not distract from the main issue.
Yes. Stay focused to the substance of the case. Yeah.
Right. Okay. It says here, according to Justice Ado, it is preposterous for the Attorney General to have even suggested that the two were not students in the first place. How did you feel about that? I'm sorry, I'll come back to you because he's a father. Yeah. How did you feel to hear the Attorney General make arguments in court that they were not students in the first place?
It is, to me, it's like it's counterproductive and self-defeating because they applied the laws of the school against the students. So how could you apply a rule and you say the students that they are not part of the school? You see what I'm saying? The rules in the school, they apply those rules. And those rules can only be applied when you become a member of the school. So how could they go back now and say they were that?
Exactly.
So they were giving conflicting, position on the issue. They were just trying to find a way to prevent them from coming in the school. That's all the discrimination.
If this doesn't stick, let's try this.
Yeah, exactly.
If this doesn't stick, let's try this.
But as a matter of fact, they even said one of the reasons why they think the children shouldn't be in the school with their dreadlocks because of lice. Outrightly said lice.
In their hair?
Yeah, lice. And we heard that lice is in the school even right now. And there are no Rastafarians in there. No dreadlocks in there. So
actually, you should be worried about lice.
Exactly.
Right. That was. How do you feel about that? This argument that they were not students in the first place.
Like Baba said, how can you even think like that? Because in the first place, you have denied them access.
Yeah.
When Tyrone went there to go through, they told him stand here. You know what I mean? And then you go on to make these pronouncements, your board issues, statements, and then you turn around to say something like this. No comments.
No comments. No comments. Okay. So Justice Gifty Ajay Ado subsequently directed Lachimota School to admit the two Rastafarians. So now an order has been given, a directive, direct directive has been given, says admit the two Rastafarians.
Yeah.
Are you willing to be admitted? You going back?
Oh, certainly. Certainly. We didn't fight this fight to run away from it. Right. And we give thanks to the fact that she borders basically everything on the Constitution. And we believe in the Constitution. So why would we not go ahead and do, what we fought for?
Are you not worried about how your child perhaps might be treated in the school by
Yes.
the teachers, authorities. I mean, we are human beings. There's
yes.
a law.
Yeah, yeah.
There's what's on paper, and then
Yeah.
there's the actual human interaction. Don't you think
Yeah.
that it's too much? It's too heavy.
Yeah, the
Circumstances are too heavy for a child to.
Yeah, we have those concerns. We have some of those concerns because we heard that from the teachers when we went there in the beginning. Some of them who were assisting with the process, and almost 75 or 80% of Ghanaians would tell you that they are worried for the children going back in there. So that means something, right? For so many ones to get up and say that, be careful. I receive so many calls. People say, oh, it's good that you won, but don't send them there. Right? But the Constitution have given us the right, and we are fighting for the right of the children to be in that school. And one or two individuals shouldn't deny a child or the children from going to the school of their choice, especially knowing that they were chosen by the computer placement and all of that.
Right.
So we are also fighting for the rights to self-determination and be where you're supposed to be.
So you're definitely going to.
Yeah, we are definitely. We know it's a challenge, right? But the children, because they are Rastafarians and have had many experiences of discrimination, they, understand certain things that the normal child wouldn't understand because of, the discriminatory aspect of it in the society and so on and so forth. So they are a little more alert about some of these things and understand the issues a little better, And with this situation, it has even made them a little sharper in terms of understanding who they are and the forces that are going against them. This is definitely a challenge for them, and for us at the same time, but it's a challenge that we have to take in the interest of the country and for future generations.
Right. Let's hear you on that. You agree? You disagree?
Of course, you see, for me, I'll be hugely disappointed if the youths go to Achimota and they're treated badly.
Right.
It will tell badly on the school. I sincerely believe that even the headmistress is a good-natured person who was doing something she felt was right. And I know that good sense will prevail because there will be a lot of students in the school who will like the boys.
Yep.
And then there would be teachers too who would also appreciate that these children are brilliant children. And we shouldn't be prejudiced against them.
Right.
So like I said, I'll be disappointed if Achimota acts otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read a few comments on Facebook and come back to matters arising subsequently.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. This one is from Tasi Kafui, and he says, Daddy B educates them. And he says again, how many times do people with permed hair wash their hair? And he says, I am a true Rasta, but then I don't smoke weed. For those who do, that is their own interest. You don't have to smoke to be Rasta, have dread to be Rasta either. It's divine conception of the heart. Bless.
Yeah.
Yes. Back at you. Okay, so, right. Let's take a break. But when we come back, the board, the school governing board of Achimota School has issued a statement. It looks as if they are going to appeal this decision. So when we come back, I'll read the statement first of all, and I'll take your reactions.
Okay.
Stay with us to be right back.
All right.
Whatever the occasion, with ATL, you can never be out of style. ATL, bringing fabric to life.
Access to quality healthcare does not have to be a chore. At Hag Hospital and Fertility Center, we provide quality and comprehensive health checks for general and special health conditions. We are open each day for consultation on general health conditions. Our trusted physicians are available to provide patient-centered care in these specialized areas. Specialized family physician, fertility and gynecological consultations, pediatric services, dental services, and physiotherapy. We also operate a 24-hour COVID testing center open to the general public with on-demand home care services. For your surgical services, Hag Hospital and Fertility Center has an ultra-modern equipped theater with seasoned surgeons to attend to your needs. Locate us at Izora Roundabout, West Tresako, and Cedar Medical Plaza off the Graphic Road, opposite MTN office. Telephone 0248-299-930. Hag Hospital, your health our priority.
Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day, he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved. Every day, he looks after his brother and chases a bus. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, and learns new things. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, and gets back home. Every day he looks after his brother, chases a bus, learns new things, gets back home, and helps his mom. Phew. That's why every day he needs his cup of Milo filled with the nutritious goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa. Milo, the energy to go further.
From Nestle.
This advert is FDA approved.
Welcome back. If you are just joining in this evening, we are discussing the judgment against Achimota School concerning the two Rastafarian students. I have with me in the studio Ras Oswald in Krabia, father of one of the students. I have with me Ahuma Bosco Kanse, who happens to be the president of the Rastafarian Council, Ghana. Right, so let me just go ahead and read the statement that has been signed by the chairman of the board Achimota Schools. It says, reaction of Achimota School Governing Board to High Court's ruling on the admission of Rastafarian students. It says, of the two applicants had been violated by the school management as they sought to enforce the time-tested and well-known rules of the school. The court further directed the school to admit the two applicants. The school board disagrees with the ruling of the court. The school board has therefore directed its lawyers to appeal against the ruling. So we have an appeal on our hands.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic that we're going down that road. And I'm hoping that good sense will prevail. Because if the judge was categorical in stating that the rights of the children had been infringed, then I want to see what will happen in the appeal court. And I think I'm warming up to a few more days in court.
Yeah. Yes. We were not surprised, right? Because when we look back and saw when the GES did that U-turn, it was that same
board.
Yes, that did that U-turn. So now they did another U-turn again. So it's not surprising. It's their trademark. It has become their trademark now. So we are waiting to see what will happen.
You're still wearing your white, so you're not shaken by...
No.
You're still wearing your white.
Of course. No, we are not shaking. We are waiting to see what will happen.
You don't think that it's possible for the decision to be overturned? You don't?
I don't know. I can't see what would make that happen. At this point, I cannot see it.
Well, let's look at what they are saying here. They are saying that, first of all, I like to look at words, right? It says 2 persons who had applied to be admitted to the school. So first of all, they are refusing to admit that these are students. Right? They are making the admission, if you look at this letter very well, choice of words and everything, they are making the admission to the school dependent on the school.
Yeah.
So then it becomes the school's prerogative. Look at the letter, the wording of the letter. It says 2 persons who had earlier applied to be admitted to the school. They had simply said students. That would be a different conversation. But for them to choose these specific words, immediately I realized where this was going. So it's like, okay, so they have applied.
Yeah.
So it's our prerogative to now
let them in.
Admit or not admit. You see how where this is going. So it gives you a sense of, doesn't that shake you up a little?
No, because Her Lordship had actually spoken to that already. The AG in their submission had stated that they hadn't completed the process of gaining admission. And Her Ladyship had actually said that, look, that is neither here nor there. Let's move on to this thing and ensure that the rights of the children are respected.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what the lawyer was talking about when he said they put up that barricade to prevent the children from coming to the school, right? And now you hear what they are claiming, said they applied, but they didn't do whatever. Right? So, and that's what shows a total discrimination. So it's gonna go back to that level again where the issue of discrimination is gonna be paramount in that action or what that happened they're trying to present.
What confuses me here a little bit is Achimota is not a private school.
It's a public school.
It's a public school.
Yes. That is the thing.
It's a public school.
So where is the GES and the Ministry of Education in this?
It's a public school. And by law, the computer is the one, the computer placement.
Yes.
So the computer places a student. I mean, computer places a student through a computerized placement system.
Yes.
That's the end of the conversation.
And, I'm still waiting for the guidelines the GES they're going to bring. You remember when the story broke about 2 months back, the GES said that, okay, they're going to issue new guidelines to heads of schools so that they'll be guided by those guidelines in setting the rules and regulations. 2 months down the line, it's still in the pipeline, you know.
I shudder to think if we had a system in Ghana where you applied directly to the schools and they, based on whatever reason, admitted you or not. We would have a situation, wouldn't we?
It was serious. It was very, very serious.
Right.
Yeah, because any child from the ghetto maybe don't even live in a house, live on the sidewalk, can apply and get into the school now to do computer placement. But naturally and normally, a child like that would go to the school. They would have rejected him.
Yes.
Because they look at him and see the poor suffering person. You don't need to be associated with these upper class people.
And they don't
or
need to
whatever.
tell you why.
They
don't need to tell you why they refused you admission.
That is why they looked and Tyrone and told him, move your stuff from here and go over there. You're not a part of this. You dreadlocks, Rasta man, Rasta child. Move it and go over there. You're not a part of this. Right? And that's how they dealt with him.
Right. This makes me so happy for a lot of reasons. So many reasons. And perhaps we need to look at this whole issue of education this way too, because sometimes even the mode of admission is very questionable. And a lot of doors are shut in a lot of faces for tricky reasons. Very tricky reasons.
And that's what the computerized placement system sought to address.
Yeah.
So that the numbers are put in the system and it throws it up. Because if like Aswell was saying, if these youths take an application letter to Achimota, just the same way they were told just on one side, that's how they'll be treated. But once the computer places you, it means automatically you are in their system.
Right.
So you gain admission. You know, and for me, what we should do as a nation is look at how we can strengthen these systems such that no child is denied access to education just because of maybe their faith or the way dreadlocks.
How they look.
No, they look.
How they look.
You see, sometimes you wonder, is Ghana in the 21st century? And is Ghana actually a middle-income country like we purport to be?
Right.
And is Ghana actually in the technological age? Because if you... And you see, the funny thing is that the pastors who wear dreadlocks.
Yeah.
And some of these people go to these pastors, especially when you're watching these evangelicals from America.
Yeah, in America, exactly. In the US.
Everywhere in their dreadlocks.
Very popular.
And they're preaching, and nothing is wrong with it. And for me, one of the funniest bits is, you see, the way people perceive Rastafari. And I've said that over the next 5 years, the number of dreadlocks that will be in Ghana will beat a lot of people's imaginations, because you see, the sisters will soon realize that they can style, they can do whatever, and it's going to cost them less. Because they wouldn't have to go under the dryer every week. You know, they wouldn't have to buy all those creams and things. So health will be one reason why a lot of sisters will start wearing dreadlocks. Trust me.
Okay, let me read on. The court ruled that the religious rights of the two applicants had been violated by the school management as they sought to enforce the... Now, here's the tricky bit. Here's where the juice is. It says, time-tested and well-known rules of the school. This is where tradition comes in, isn't it? Time-tested and well-known rules of the school. So the argument then becomes, this is who we are as Achimota School. This is what makes us great. This is the reason why you want to come there. Why would you want to come and change who we are?
You see...
Do you see that coming up as an argument? And what argument do you have against that?
You see, time-tested rules are subservient to the Constitution.
Exactly.
Those rules were made before 1992. In 1992, Ghanaians as a people accepted the Constitution. Well, with all the flaws, it's governed us since that time. And it has made us feel like we're the best democracy in a desert of nations biting each other. So at least that Constitution should be respected. The time-tested rules should shift or adapt to the provisions of 1992.
That's right.
You know,
Constitution is king.
Yes.
Is what he,
that's what it is.
Yes, exactly.
Same Constitution rules.
Exactly.
Of course.
Exactly.
No, but do you see that argument as a father, you know, of a student going there? And I've asked you this question over and over again. The fact that even now you still want, or he still wants to go there. There has to be a reason why. It's because you love the school, don't you?
Yeah, the school.
And the school is saying that this is what makes us great.
Yes, the school and all those the spirit of the Constitution. We adhere to the Constitution so much that we will sacrifice to ensure that certain things is done to guard and protect it. And we are not just doing it just for our children, but for the future of Ghana. You know, we have to have the laws that are working for us as a country.
Right.
And the only way we're going to get that is to fight for it.
Right. Okay. So Constitution rules again.
Yeah,
that's your argument also. Whatever rules and regulations you have,
you know,
it has to fall under
the Constitution.
And regardless how time-tested or how well known
That's right.
your rules are.
That's right.
If it's against the law, it's against the law.
That's right.
And if it's wrong, it's wrong.
It's wrong.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they disagree, obviously, with the ruling of the school board disagrees with the ruling of the court. You are saying it's within their rights?
Of course.
Yeah, yes, it's a constitutional right. They are free to do it. I mean, that's why I say I welcome it. You know, it's their right. Yes, it's their right to do it. Yeah, of course, we are ready. so
you welcome them.
Yes, I welcome it. Yes, let them go ahead and do it.
Okay. Right. So we are going back to court then.
That's what it seemed like.
I think by Monday or by someday next week, we all have to adjust our calendars and set aside days to meet them in court.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask a question about strategy. How did you approach the first? Did you go there in your numbers? The council, for instance.
Of course, every court day, we mass up.
Yeah, in numbers, every
court day. Is that going to be the same approach? Are you going to change the approach?
Well, it may even be much bigger because it is garnishing more interest now that they're doing this injunction.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, because you see, the thing is, what happened is something a lot of brethren had been calling for. When the story broke, there was a suggestion, let's hit the streets, let's go on demonstration.
Yeah.
And we said, well, that strategy is being flogged, and it won't get us what we want. Let us go to court, so that because the court is the ultimate place you resolve issues. And thank God, we got a good ruling. And the respondent wants to contest. It's their constitutional right. We're confident in our case and where we're coming from. So if they go to the appeal court, I'm sure the judge of the appeal court will say no. If the judge says ABC, I'm sure it will go to the Supreme Court. Now, what I'm minded to say is that this issue, you see, the timing is interesting because 2 years ago, Ghana was like talking big, year of return, this, that. Then it happened. Then after the year of return, the benefits of the year of return induced a 10-year beyond the return.
That's right.
Which will mean that a lot of diasporans are expected to come to Ghana, etc., etc. It is time for we as a nation to appreciate that these people who will be coming will have cultures or cultural backgrounds that may not be the normal Ghanaian. And case in point is what you call it. It's the issue of these students with dreadlocks.
Right.
So a lot of people globally are watching with excitement how this whole thing will pan out, because people have children, even alumni of Achimota, who we are in correspondence with, professors, lawyers, this, who have children who are dreadlocks.
Yeah.
So they're wondering, so if I decide to relocate, what happens to my youth?
Yeah.
So the whole world is watching, and I am sure that the spirit of Ghana will prevail. Yeah.
The spirit of Ghana will prevail.
That's right.
Right. Now, this one is on our Facebook page. It says, is the appeal to revoke the decision. I'm watching live from the UK. Hey, I'm saddened there is an appeal, but then that's how court proceedings are. You are allowed an appeal, but Achimota, why not save face and let the boys enjoy their lives as students? I bet you next science and math quiz will be won by these boys. But mind you, the school might not even select them to compete. That's a point.
Yeah.
And he says future MPs, first Rastafarian in Parliament is an old Achimota school. Imagine these youths growing up to become MPs. The headlines will be first Rastafarian Minister of Education is a graduate of Achimota school.
Yes, yes.
What joy would it bring?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So how are they feeling? How are they feeling themselves? Our youth in Krabia, for instance, how is he feeling about this ruling?
Well, I haven't spoken with him about the ruling yet because I haven't seen him since morning.
Okay.
So when I go home, I will have that discussion with him to see
I wonder how that discussion is going to go. We won, but don't jubilate too much. There's an appeal. There's an appeal.
You see, what it is this whole experience has shown the youth something. Yesterday when we were on TV3, Tyrone said something. He said if he had known that there would be victory at the end, he wouldn't have been so down and been crying. So this new test, they know that there will be victory at the end.
Yes.
You know, there will be victory at the end.
He also said something that I found, very profound. I watched one of his interviews, I don't know where he said that when he entered the school, he knew that it was a historic moment. But he didn't know the gravity. Of the history that moment would be. He didn't know that it was going to go through all of this for him to get to go to the school. He says the most profound things, doesn't he?
You see, what it is those children are very intelligent children. And for instance, I remember when Aswad was homeschooling his children. This means the child is able to learn, and they are able to absorb at a certain rate beyond, because normal children they would leave the house, go and play, go and do this and that. But I start on picking.
They're focused on so many other important things. Serious.
For instance, tell you like this: he used to live with his children. You know these trailers that when you go to the west, like mobile homes. And they had their instruments and everything. So you come from school, you're practicing, or you're learning. No time for you to be walking around the crowd or anything like that.
So that goes to the discipline that the school is afraid of.
Thank you.
What they are not appreciating that these kids are even more disciplined.
And that's what the rest of us. That's why Azwa said that if they had been minded, they would have sent
back to the school,
to the schools the kids are coming from, and done a character check, a background check. You know.
Well, I'm happy. I'm happy. Anything that promotes inclusion makes me happy. I totally believe in an inclusive society.
That's right.
We cannot build a society that discriminates against itself.
That's right.
That forces everybody to
be the same.
Enter into a box.
Exactly.
For me, that cannot be. People should be able to freely express.
That's right.
Within the confines of the law, of course. And it's the beauty of life, isn't it?
That's what makes it.
Of course.
The beauty of life. If we are all the same, look the same, act the same, what's the point?
Monotonous.
What's the point?
It's like you're playing all your music with the white keys. No color. Or the black keys. You a blend to play great music.
And beyond that, as the black race, should we be the people to discriminate against
ourselves?
We, after what we have been through.
You see, I was telling somebody earlier today that is the result of what we've gone through as a people. We were a mighty nation, then somewhere along the line we dropped the ball, and we bought into everything the Europeans and the Arabs taught us. And in the process, we lost the sense of self. So when the awakening starts, it then poses a challenge because people are so entrenched in their either Eurocentric or Arab-centric thoughts, such that we start to deny ourselves as a people, and we start to say, this is not us. Meanwhile, you should rather say, this is not European. Do you understand? The other day at the press conference, there was a presentation by Dr. Kambon. Interesting. And he showcased instances where dreadlocks had been worn by the ancient pharaohs and priests of Egypt. And then you realize that how come somewhere along the line, suddenly wearing dreadlocks in Africa is seen as alien? when your ancestors
exactly
were in
it, and all evidence has
when you go to Kumasi, the great Okomfanochi. So somebody is like, hey, Africans, we there.
This true.
And so somebody said, soon they will say Bob Marley is a white man.
Yeah.
It's true. You think it's a joke? In 10 years time, when I'm actually working with a state, and you see me, you say, hey, Bosco, you said this thing.
It is.
Because if I walk into a room now wearing, this wig, that I wear, and again, I insist that as an African woman, I should be allowed my versatility, my hair,
right.
power that another woman doesn't have.
That's
I can wear my hair in braids, in cornrows, I can wear it short,
sure.
And it's a versatility that I choose to fully enjoy.
Of course.
So I self-express in any form that I choose to. So, but it's interesting that if I should walk into a room with my wig, and you should walk into the same room with your dreadlocks, somehow I'm more acceptable than you are.
Exactly.
It's amazing that we are in Africa as black people,
as black
somehow
people.
This hair that cannot be mine is more acceptable than this hair that is yours.
It goes to the indoctrination that I spoke of.
Yep.
So we've been so programmed that anything that looks Western, that looks European, is accepted.
Yeah.
And anything that looks African is scorned.
Yeah.
You understand? So even ladies, two ladies go into a place, and one has got either Brazilian hair, nice Brazilian hair, and one has got maybe a low-cut African hairstyle. And people will either say two things. Either she's not very enlightened, or she's a hard girl.
Or she's poor.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you understand? So she can't afford it.
Or she's poor.
To do the hair and all that thing. She's hiding behind culture.
Right.
Yeah. But it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And I think, and that's one of the reasons why I love Pan-African TV and the work you guys are doing. Media is very powerful, and I remember as a kid growing up, that's how come I fell in love with jeans. Between, let's say, 80 to 2000, I every day wore jeans religiously. I've been programmed because, you see, as kids growing up, you watch American cowboy films, and they all wear Levi's.
That's right.
Do you understand? And T-shirts. So then, that became like the standard until the wave of Africanization came in, and then realized that, look, this whole thing we've been programmed through Hollywood and the media. You see, so Pan-African TV, you're doing good, keep it up. And we want more outlets that would showcase that African personality Osadifu spoke about. You know what I mean? And you see, on a lighter note, that's why some of us fell in love with JJ. Because I clearly remember JJ in his time made the Fugu popular.
Right.
You know, when you buy the graphic in those days, when you see your president wearing Fugu, sitting
you can identify.
Because let's not forget that at the heart of this so-called culture and tradition, all of that, is the money.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yes.
If they make the wearing of jeans popular, more fashionable, the thing to do, we as Africans would spend our money
going
to buy
somewhere else. That's right.
And keep creating the markets for their products.
That's right.
And the things that they do. Forgetting that this is what is ours. This is ours. And this is what will create wealth and commerce in our own. You know?
And for me, I think that is where, apart from the media, we need leaders who appreciate the economics of all these things. Because you see, sometimes people say when you talk development, culture is no. But culture is the bedrock of a development as a nation.
Absolutely.
Because then it informs how you even promote your local cuisine.
What you eat.
You know, so you don't wait for COVID to come.
Yeah.
You start
exactly.
Before you see that
exactly. That's right.
The likes of Courage Kwashiorkor.
It's true.
Courage Kwashiorkor said that for him, as a health minister, he'll promote healthy living rather than building hospitals and things like that.
Yeah.
Because if you show your people how to eat and eat well, what then happens is you do not need that many hospitals and things.
Yeah.
Because the people are healthy, they're
That's
eating
right.
good, they're living well. You don't have obesity, you don't have all these ailments which result from our diet and things like that. Come on. Culture is big, and I look forward to a day when, like, Ghana as a nation will if you look at Nigeria with all its problems, they've done very well. If you walk the streets of Lagos, you see more people patronizing GTP and, you know, their local textiles.
Ankara, they call
Thank you. You know, that is where Ghana as a nation should be going to.
Right.
You know, but as long as people wearing Brazilian hair, tell people wearing natural hair that you have no place here, it'll be difficult for us to
We
go
have a
forward.
long way to go.
That's right.
You know.
Somehow my natural hair is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a frightening concept.
Of course. Yeah.
And for me, folks say I'm an optimist by nature, but I think we're just round the bend. Yes, we're just round the bend, and sooner than later, all these time-tested rules. Somebody cracked a joke and said, yes, the rules are time-tested, produce this. But the irony is that we've not been able to move our nation out of this morass in which we find ourselves. The examples are there, Malaysia, this. We all left the starting blocks with them. With our time-tested rules and this.
Well,
this is where we are. We think in the box.
Right. So we are happy about this judgment. Our time is up. I'm enjoying this conversation.
Right.
It's a lovely conversation. I'm enjoying. But final words, 2 seconds each, and then we are out.
Oh, me, I'll say we'll meet again, and I think that day you have to bring some champagne. As long as you bring champagne, boy, you hold the glass.
You don't drink champagne?
Oh no, I drink, but Asa doesn't drink.
Okay.
But he'll hold the glass.
That's right.
Sobolo.
Thank you.
That's right. That's my champagne. That's right. That's right.
What will be your final words?
Now, my final word is that we need to start encourage the young children in school to pay more attention to the Constitution and how it can empower the nation.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate your time.
Pleasure. Thanks.
It's an ongoing conversation. It looks like we have to come back. I thought this was our last time.
Exactly. No, it's getting even more interesting.
We like to meet, don't we? Don't bring on that appeal.
That's right. That's why I say I welcome it.
Yeah.
Well, so viewers, this has been our conversation. And like we've been saying, who we are is who we are. This is who we are. And we are acceptable. There's nothing wrong with who we are. And we will, both Ras Oswald and Daddy Bosco have been saying, see this to its logical, legal conclusion. It's an ongoing story. We'll be back, with, whatever happens. Hopefully, it goes as perfectly well as it has gone in the first round. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for coming.
Thank you
for watching. Bye.